Sup team. You know what really grinds my gears? The amount of Alphys slander. I already did that one, sorry. Alphys. My favorite character in Undertale. Burn me at the stake, I don't care. The complexities of her character run so deep that I could swim in them without touching the bottom, yet she always gets the short end of the stick. She either gets overlooked or flanderized with not a lot of in-between space, and it's been this way for years and years. While we've done her a lot of justice within the last 2 years with Undertale, One Hell of a Show, Plan B, and the simply named Alphys fight, it's taken the masses this long to even begin appreciating her character a lot again. Is what I would say if there wasn't one Fangame, one pioneer, dare I say one rebel, one revolutionary that broke the mold. This one hasn't been forgotten either. It's the reason Plan B and Alphys fight exist. You already know what I'm talking about, but let me just... You recognize that, right? Oh, I know you do, my dear teammate and hopefully subscriber. That's so stupid. Alphys Neo. God! Alphys Neo wasn't just a pioneer of the save goat bro type of fan game of giving characters their own encounters. It was a pioneer for Undertale fan games as a whole. It was a pioneer for the Undertale community, period. Alphys Neo put so much respect on Alphys' name, man. So much, in fact, that tons of younger kids like me, back in the day, thought it was official. We thought Tobias Foxington gave us this gift from the gods with his own 2 hands. That's something no fan game has been able to say for ages. But what makes Alphys Neo work? What design choices make it tick? I mean, if it's anything like the fan games we talked about last time, then it's gotta have some super solid groundwork to have gotten as much praise as it did. And yeah, you're just 100% correct. Yeah, Alphys Neo is iconic for literally everything it did. The attacks, the music, the writing, every ounce has become iconic and trickled down into fan games of today. But I want to dig into why. So this is the anatomy of perfect Undertale fan game. Now, I know what you may be thinking, and rightfully so. Holy mother of glaze, bud. Perfect? Perfect's a stretch. The only guy that's perfect is Jesus H. Christ. To that I say, 1, I am not a Christian. And 2, sure, maybe it is. But I truly believe that there was skill and love poured into every aspect of this game that just so happened to come together and make a practically official battle. To get into why, we gotta do one thing at a time. Let me give you a real quick rundown of the fight first though, and I mean quick this time, we have a lot to discuss. So, instead of choosing to evacuate with the monsters she helped, Alphys has chosen to confront you after evacuating them, I'm assuming. Using the same technologies Mettaton Neo with a wee bit of determination, she builds up the courage to take you down. This is all for naught as she meets the same fate as the Amalgamates after being hacked and slashed, melting before letting you deal the final blow. Pretty simple concept, especially by today's standards. But back in the day, this was a generational concept to build off of, and Alphys Neo did it perfectly, if you couldn't gather that already. Now, we can start checking off our lovely little boxes for the fight. Let's first go over Alphys Neo's awesomely innovative attacks. My favorite part about the attacks is absolutely the use of the recording gimmick from Mettaton EX. This is one of the few uses of it ever, and to this day it's absolutely the best one. It uses the concept to its fullest, pairing it with elements such as Gaster Blasters that move quickly and don't leave traces of where they were before. You gotta make sure that you memorize where certain attacks went while tons of other stuff flies at you, and it's really fun and actually really difficult. The game also adds on to the recording gimmick with fast forwarding and slow motion. Slow-mo is only used once to add oomph to that last attack, but fast forwarding is used a lot, and it's great at making things feel frantic. It's also a really good way of cycling through attacks while keeping them fresh. Just slap on a fast forward and the attack feels brand spanking new. Speaking of difficulty, like I mentioned a bit ago, this game is pretty freaking hard. There's a lot of other very cool gimmicks, such as the 3x3 grid mode for Yellow Soul, colored tile puzzles as attacks, and the final attack with the piano puzzle from Waterfall acting as indication for you to dodge. There's also a hard mode on top of this. Now, I'm too bad to even beat the main game, but just watching it, I really don't notice many differences outside of maybe 3 attacks and definitely 2. The final attack changes a lot, and the piano part just becomes kind of unfair because it removes the indication. That's the only difference. Besides that, nothing of note. That last hard mode attack might be my only critique of Neo, to be honest. But, well, actually, one more. I wish the game made very slightly better use of Alphys' electric magic. She uses blasters a lot more, and it'd be cool to see some more base Alphys representation. But even then, I'm pretty sure she has the blasters due to her enhancements, so it still makes sense. Not a big deal at all, doesn't detract from anything in the moment, and we'll get into the blaster thing later. The entire final part of her last Hail Mary is beautiful. It represents her connection to Asriel through Flowey and her regrets regarding him and the Amalgamates. It's a bitter end to the fight, while being a super fun and creative attack, even to this day. I'm surprised this piano thing didn't become a thing after Alphys Neo. Like hell, not even many fan games use the Yellow Soul's grid mode, and even less use fast forward and slow-mo. Not a lot use the vanilla recording and rewind gimmicks to begin with, which sucks, because it pairs really well with the Yellow Soul especially, which has gotten a resurgence. Could spruce up a lot of games, mayhaps. One last thing about the attacks. This one. I like to call it the blaster to bomb technique, or B2B for short, slang for blaster to bomb. While I can't put my finger on exact fan games that have used this attack, I just know I've seen it a bunch. I know you've seen it too. Somehow, in some way, this has become one of the most iconic attacks from Alphys Neo, even over the piano or the grid. Her colored tile puzzles are pretty iconic too, at least. Oh, the colored tile puzzles. She's got these because of her connection to Metaton, and it's awesome. They're really well made, and it shows in how iconic they've become. These are probably the most influential attacks from the entire fight in terms of direct inspiration. I'm pretty confident this was the first solo battle fan game to use puzzles as attacks as well, and they were great challenges to boot. Overall, Alphys Neo's attacks brought lots of innovative ideas to the table, and executed on them perfectly. It even goes above and beyond in more basic Yellow Soul attacks. Like, how can you talk about the attacks and not mention the Space Invaders one? This one was super influential as well, but there isn't much to say. Space Invaders pants okay. It's easy to see how Alphys Neo's attacks became so well known. They're fun, they're difficult, they're fair, besides that one on hard mode, and they're darn tootin' creative. From the B2B technique to freaking Space Invaders, these attacks wear their charm on their sleeve. Great stuff. Alrighty, that's one box checked off. Next up, we have, let's see. The sprites? The music! Obviously, it's the music! Oh my god! You cannot talk about this game without bringing up Alphys Takes Action. You think I would forget? I'm sure there's a handful of fans that believe that this is an official theme to this day. To put it in perspective, this shit got re-uploads, extensions, and lyrics covers like any other official track. And you know what? It got just as much views as a lot of the official tracks. Do you know how much raw aura you gotta pump into a song to be on par with the Undertale soundtrack? Oh my god, fortissimo! Robin Blend cooked. With that, I do gotta say, do not pester Blend about Alphys Takes Action. No. From what I can tell, they don't want to associate with their old Undertale work anymore, which is completely fair. I debated not even giving credit because of this, but that'd be like bringing up Symphony No. 5 without mentioning Beethoven. Gotta give credit where it's due. Just don't pester nobody about it. The official upload for Alphys Takes Action has been long gone because of this, but I've linked an unofficial archival SoundCloud account in the description, Robin Blend Archive No. 1. That account also links to an official archive.org repo of Blend's work. At least I'm pretty sure it's official. It's got everything, and I'm sure you've heard lots of it. Alter Tale's Dynami and Siona L's Deceit stick out, which you may know as Venom Sans' theme from back in the day, even though it was for her personal project Amalgamine. They're all there, and it's cool. And also in the description is a link to Blend's GoFundMe. for undergoing gender-affirming surgery. If you can, I encourage you to donate to it. The goal is about 50% of the way complete, and she's actually just healing from surgery as of this month, but I'm sure any and all donations can help with something. Godspeed and trans rights, baby. Alphys Takes Action is such a perfect track. From what I know, it was made specifically for Alphys Neo. I can't fact check this, so don't take my word as gospel, but how I can assume this is kind of funny. I got this idea from an official Silva Gunner style rip of Alphys Takes Action by Buurazu and Blend. Yeah, this exists. Since they worked together to make the rip, I can only assume they were working together with Alphys Takes Action. So, it would be cool, but again, I'm not completely sure if it's true. Alphys Takes Action starts with this beautiful melody that perfectly illustrates Alphys' uncertainty. It sounds like the struggle Alphys is facing during the battle. It sounds like it's trying really hard to be heroic, and it does sound that way, but you can tell that's strained. This part portrays it perfectly. The triumphant instruments feel like Undyne, but there's undertones of melancholy that cannot be ignored. Again, just like her character in Neo. We'll get more into that later. My favorite example of this is at the very end of the track, where it straight up becomes his theme. Just like in the fight, Alphys' life ends with a recollection of her own regrets storming her mind. God almighty, it's beautiful! S++++ max prestige MK2 quality track! Oh, God, dude! You know what? If Alphys Takes Action is so great, then why isn't there an Alphys Takes Action 2? Holy mother of God! What? Yeah! There's an Alphys Takes Action 2? I remember this when it was still officially uploaded by Blend, but not many people spoke about it even at the time. Nothing could replace how iconic Alphys Takes Action was, but I can't deny that V2 is a more well-made track, which is obviously the point of the remaster. While it still sounds really, really good, I don't think it'd be possible to make this song sound bad. I do prefer V1 myself. I think it's the guitars. I just don't really think the main lead needed them, and their absence kinda adds to the themes I mentioned before. Still a divine track though, don't get me wrong. Asgore's motif being more prominent in this mix is peak. And the his theme part at the end does hit way harder in V2. If Alphys Neo was ever to get an official remaster, even though it would be a dream to get a final official Alphys Takes Action remake, I think the music could honestly stay as it is. Not just because it's arguably the most iconic aspect of the game, but because it sounds so goddamn good already. Play this shit with the official Undertale symphonies at this point, man. Erect a statue. A big, beautiful Alphys statue that soars above the clouds like Icarus, but she shall not melt. Sorry, that was a bit much. My point is that the music is incredible, but we haven't forgotten about that part. The 2025 Alphys fight uses it as a leitmotif in its OST, Science Strikes. Do you know the inconceivable amount of required aura points, okay, to have your fan track become a leitmotif? Just proves my point even more, that this track is legendary. I think I've said enough about it. Not much more to say without just being repetitive glaze, so as we check off another box, be sure to at least share Blend's GoFundMe around, and be sure to check out her official archive or the unofficial SoundCloud archive. Whichever one's easier. There's some cool, historic stuff on there.
That's like world history, right?
Now, I've made it very clear in prior videos that I am anti-summary slop here on the Rube72 channel. And I stand by that, but it's kinda necessary to tell y'all what goes down in this game, as it's crucial to the magnificent writing on display. This is the last box we gotta check off here, and it's my personal favorite. Yes, even more than the music. Alphys Neo totally nails Alphys' character, and this is the part that really did her justice, especially at the time. This salvaged her character for a considerable amount of time, while lots of the fanbase thought she was this one-note klutz at best, or a villain at worst, and then we fell right back into that stereotype for a long time. Great job, fellas. Whatever. Let's dive on into this masterclass. The game cold opens with Alphys getting straight to the point. Oh god, I'm gonna have to do voice acting, aren't I? So, you're the one who's been killing all my friends. Of course, she's seen your entire killing spree up until this point thanks to her many cameras. She saw what you did to Papyrus, and she saw what you did to Undyne. In vanilla Undertale, this prompts her to evacuate as many monsters as she can and hide with them, but here though, she, I'm assuming, evacuates monsters without staying behind. She can't stomach just watching everything go down as if it's a television show. Dare I say that Alphys takes action. Using the same technology she built for Mettaton Neo, Alphys has stepped up to the plate as Alphys Neo. With a wee bit of determination, she has built up the courage to at least try and stop us. Alphys Neo feels like a cumulative boss fight for Hotland and the core, making her a great stand-in for Mettaton in the Genocide route. She directly uses blue and orange lasers from the overworld alongside Mettaton's little meddlings. That's a good enough name. In addition, she uses her own lightning magic that she only showed while defending us in the true pacifist ending. Alphys clearly is thinking of Undyne and Papyrus and others probably like Sans throughout the entire battle. She goes back and forth from trying to act tough like Undyne to cool and kinda cocky like Papyrus. She goes as far as to use a few colored tiled puzzles as attacks, as I aforementioned, harkening back to their connection to Mettaton. You should give up now! I haven't even used half of my power. If you don't stop now, I'll be forced to use my special attack. These lines are said after consecutive turns. Alphys is clearly spiraling in real time. This is solidified by her saying, "It sounds way better when he says it." Through the lightning and the trademarked yellow-souled grid attack, you keep hacking and slashing at Alphys, making her get more and more desperate and generally just unwell. I've got a joke for you. Knock knock, who's there? Orange! Did not cook with that one. She follows this with an attack where you don't want to touch orange flavored tiles. This is what makes her finally crack under the pressure. Of course, this situation was too much for her the entire time, as it's a lot for her to just jump into, but now she's enraged, and she's ready to show it. Wait, why am I giving you hints? Alphys trembles as she shows her true form of defiance. If anything, she knows you better than any of the monsters you've killed. Ever since the ruins, she's seen every single part of the action, every single pile of dust spreading from your knife, gloves, notebook, or what have you. She's seen it all, and she's gonna make sure you know it. Just die already! All you've done is bring pain to others! Alphys has backed herself into a corner. In a way, she knew that she would. She tried to play it off the entire time by being strong and courageous like Undyne, but that didn't work. She tried taking after Papyrus's wit, but that didn't work. She's tried to cope with the loss of her friends over just the past few hours by wearing their memories as masks, but she has finally come to the harsh realization that Papyrus and Undyne failed. How many more need to die before you'll be satisfied? After Papyrus, you went right over into Waterfall. After Undyne, you stomped toward the lab with that same blank stare on your face as before. Alphys is the only monster that's been able to see almost all of your unapologetic carnage. Alphys doesn't set out to do what Sans does at the end of the Genocide route. She doesn't judge you for your use of meta gimmicks or what have you. Through gritted teeth, she judges you for what you are in that moment. You're a goddamn psycho, dude. I don't gotta spell that out for you. Alphys shudders. She's down. Right when her fate dawned on her, it slapped her in the face. But maybe, just maybe, she can rewrite it. That's the power of determination. Just like the masks of her friends that she wore, that determination is artificial. Even if it wasn't, she knows what happened to Undyne. Alphys isn't stupid. She's at her wit's end. Throughout the entire battle, she's desperately swapped from mask to mask, trying to cope with tragedies that just happened. Her character isn't built for that kind of rapid change. Alphys' development has always been a slow burn that is best shown by her handling of the Amalgamates. Alphys exhausts herself during that final Hail Mary and begins melting due to the determination within her enhancements.
Pain. This is what I made them feel. I deserve this.
In a tragic display of poetic irony, Alphys has met the same fate as the Amalgamates for trying to do something she just couldn't. For one last time, she has been punished by the laws of the universe for curling the monkey's paw. Or she could just do this. Alphys Neo is ridiculously well written. The game understands that this wouldn't happen in vanilla Undertale, since Alphys is only able to break out of her inactive shell in the true pacifist route. There's no way she'd be able to become some great hero on the fly, and that is perfectly highlighted by how desperately she tries to be one. She's probably never fought anyone before, and is trying to be like Undyne and Papyrus because she's ultimately unsure of herself the entire time. This is further highlighted by a series of taunt acts you can do to toy with Alphys. You start by saying how great it felt to smash Undyne's face into a pulp, making Alphys question just who or what the hell she's even fighting. You mention timelines, and that gets her even more confused. To cap off the idea that the game knows it can't actually happen, the final taunt shows that your entire purpose in Alphys Neo is just to mess with her. You say that Mew Mew Kissy Cutie 2 is your favorite anime. Wow, she obviously disagrees with this. The line itself isn't played off as a joke or something. This is way more tame than your previous taunts, yet it was specifically engineered to push Alphys off the deep end. She knows this. After all, you haven't even met before. I don't know what your problem is, but just stop it! Alphys is terrified the entire time, but she isn't turned into an idiot. This is why I say this game did such justice to her character for the community at the time. People's disdain toward Alphys' character usually would trickle down into their depictions of her, turning her into some kind of klutz when that couldn't be much further from the truth. This won't turn to a deep dive on Alphys' character or something, but as I said before, it all boils down to her being a slow burn. Especially since the Amalgamates, Alphys has locked herself in stasis, wallowing in shame that she believes she can't afford to atone for or show. And Alphys almost does show that shame at the beginning of Alphys Neo, but tries putting on her friend's personas right after to hide it yet again. Only in death is she able to show that shame one last time, but it doesn't lead to development. It leads to the fulfillment of the same spiral she's gone down plenty of times before. The conclusion of the battle turns the entire ordeal into what is really a suicide attempt. A final cry for help from Alphys. If inaction is the problem, then action's gotta help, right? Alphys' fatal flaw in Neo is not understanding that she can't thrust herself into being someone she isn't. That's why she stops acting toward the end of the battle, choosing to accost you instead. She realizes this too late, but can't think of anything else to do. It's so well crafted, it's beautiful in this screwed up way. Alphys Neo's depiction of her character fully holds up today, and I can't really think of any glaring flaws with it. That isn't just me peering in with rose-tinted glasses either. While writing this script, I really tried to make some form of constructive criticism for the writing, but I just can't I genuinely cannot think of any holes to poke, no matter how small. I was going to originally say that the end with her refusing to die was out of character, but then I realized that's Alphys desperately clinging to anything that gives her more time, making her forget that her determination is artificial. I guess if I had to do anything, if I had to poke any holes, I don't like the line where she says, "I never thought I'd have to use these in regards to Gaster Blasters." I'm fairly sure that Alphys Neo follows the long-standing theory that blasters are physical inventions and not magic summons. In my opinion, this does not make sense, because there's no damn way Sans could fit all that in a little itty-bitty last corridor. But that doesn't even matter, because it's a headcanon with lots of other evidence to back it up, so yeah. The only critical thing I gotta say about Neo, if you could even call it critical, is that it doesn't line up with my own headcanon for Gaster Blasters, which is such a nitpick that it holds zero weight in the grand scheme. I wish that we consistently treated Alphys' character this well. I say consistently because there's been a push within the last year or two to make Alphys accurate again. As I mentioned earlier, Plan B, Alphys fight, and One Hell of a Show do this super well. Plan B gives her a reasonable outlet for pure aura. Alphys fight also feels realistic as hell, and while One Hell of a Show is Undertale, it still gives chance at Alphys to be in an awkward situation and hide her true self for a little bit. All super good stuff. I highly recommend that you check all these fan games out. But, of course, especially check out Alphys Neo, if you haven't already somehow done so by now. Maybe pure Delta heads haven't played it or seen it, but just saying, in case of that, you gotta see it for yourselves. It's a total spectacle. This is going to sound like a joke, but I'm not kidding. If Alphys ends up getting any type of battle in Deltarune, I don't think it'll top this. Not that I think we'll fight her anyway, but some serious strings would have to be pulled if we did, and it just wouldn't feel right compared to Neo. This is definitely a scalding hot take, but man, I can't deny how I feel. They seriously perfected her character in Neo. Not much else to say. And with that, we have checked off all of our lovely little boxes. Alphys Neo has absolutely stood the test of time in this community. It's gotta be one of the few quote-unquote old fan games to still directly inspire others to this day, and it deserves to have that kind of power. It stands as an example for music, writing, and how to make a game just pure fun. I don't know what else would go on an Undertale fan game Mount Rushmore, but this is my take. This may update with time, but currently, it just feels right. If anybody out there wants to make a fan game, Alphys Neo is basically your textbook if you're fresh out of ideas, and yeah, that stands with Undertale itself as an example. Peak, holy mother of peak. I don't got much else to say. I really tried to make this big grand slam conclusion, but I can't. I don't know. Alphys Neo is really good. Foundational, but not forgotten Undertale fan game. So, subscribe, like, comment, join the Discord server, especially subscribe! The Discord server is getting ever so slightly more active, so it's kind of turning into a spot. Now. So, that's in the description. But, Rubes70 Digest, thank you! God, oh my god, thank you for the support in our last video. It feels so good to have a freaking banger. It really does. And it's gotten us to 4,000 subs, bro. That's absurd. That's absurd! I mean, I look around my room, I could only fit like 20 people in my bedroom, and that's like, it would be cramped as is. 4,000 is ludicrous in one room! That's ludicrous. Thank you all. I know it's custom to do specials for these types of things, but I just don't know what to do. But 5,000, if we can get to 5,000, that sounds like it might warrant something, but I just don't know what. Because there just won't be a lot of time to make a special. I've tried that, and specials have literally killed me. I still have not recovered from that stupid hour-long video that no one even watched anyway. I have not recovered from that. So, I don't know. I mean, if you guys want to see like a special, then let me know down below. But I'm pretty confident I'm going to do Chapter 2 fandom history. But it's going to be in installments, not all one video. It's going to be installments. Just letting y'all know. That's the forecast for the future. So anyway, subscribe, Discord server, fan mail if you so desire. Subscribe, like, comment, Banjin Basement, Bindbit, Bayonara. I gotta give it better Bayonara than that. Bayonara!